Hello. All right. It's finally time. We're talking about Mirrored Heavens.
Yes.
It is Heavens,
Right
right?
here.
So, big question. Did you finish it?
I'm sorry?
Did you finish it?
Yes, I did. Mm-hmm.
Nice. So did I. So what did you think?
Okay, so I definitely feel like it was like slower paced than the first two books, like in a lot of different ways. Um, but I did like the direction like that the character arcs took, and I think like it kind of rounded them out. So I'm still kind of like toying like with like I don't think because I actually preferred the first two books to be honest because I felt like they were really good. But so I think I feel like I would be like 3.5 like 3.5 to 4 stars I think on this, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I feel very differently. It really kind of pissed me off. Like I will agree it was slower for sure, and then like first half I found it like the first 100 to 100 pages to be really slow, and it picked up and I was a bit more on board, but then the ending like really annoyed me to the point where I'm like I think I'm gonna give it 2 stars because I feel like the promise and the setup was so amazing, and in the end it just kind of like sputtered out. And I honestly think like the number one reason is that the author said she doesn't plan her books out, and I feel like it really showed because there was a lot of different like plots and arcs that just felt like, what are we doing here? Like either we picked them up only in this book or we dropped them. That like couple examples being like her mother. Why also spoilers for the whole series, but like, why did we reveal her mother is alive to kill her off page?
Yeah.
Like early on. I really hate what they did with the Teak. I feel like they really hyped them up and then they showed us at their weakest, which could be really interesting.
Yeah.
But then they just like totally abandoned it. And oh my god, what's her name? Jala. Just like came back and became the queen, whatever, but we never found out if they got their song back or nothing. And the ending particularly pissed me off because I feel like there was like at the ending, she wanted to do things, and instead of choosing and sticking to it, she did both. And it's like one is tragic, the main character dies, it's all very dramatic, we're super sad. Oh, never mind, they're getting the happy ending. But I was like, 6 years later, he was just chilling on an island for 6 years where she was raising her son. Like, what the? I'd be so pissed. And then she wasn't even upset. And I was like, what is happening? And I feel like Zala, like the ending I wanted for her was to be free, be out in the waves, and like just like live her best life. And she was just like, okay, I'm a queen now, which is not something she ever wanted. So I just feel like a lot of the plot points, I was like, what are we doing here? Like we just dropped things left and right. So I'm ranting, but I've held this in for a week. And then Narampa, what was the point of her? Because she ended up just doing nothing. Like they really hyped up her taking on the Jaguar, whatever, the Jaguar Lord, and then she didn't, and now she's forever in a coma. What kind of ending is that? So yeah, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Also, hi, Larissa.
Hello.
Read this a while ago, so I can't remember much. Yeah, no, I was just ranting that I feel like it's a 2-star mostly because the first book was so good. I felt like the potential was there. Book 2 was slow, but like I still had hope. And this one, I was like, no, what are we doing here? We need to plan out a little bit of what's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you about the Teak because like they made them seem like these like mythological, like mysterious, like nobody knows where they're at, like beings, like, you know, and then suddenly somebody shows up to their island, like, okay, so you guys didn't know where they're at? Like, what happened with that?
It just felt like very poorly thought out, like the whole Teak thing, because they never explained why they lost their song. They never explained they got it back. They never explained why Jala has hers. And like I don't need it spelled out to me exactly, but it just felt like it came so out of nowhere. And it felt like she like was with them, okay. But then the second she could like just abandon them, she did. And she just went off and she became like the mermaid, but that didn't really matter either, like that much. Yeah. Became so overpowered. There were so many conveniences. Like she was like, what if I called shark like a kraken. So she calls the shark and she's like, oh yeah, I know exactly where the kraken is. And she just goes down and the kraken's chilling in that exact spot in the ocean. It's like, what the fuck? Like, at least set it up, say, oh, there's weird things happening of the ocean, and have her see some things and there's legends, whatever. But I was like, so out of all the ocean, am I meant to think whatever you go down to the ocean, that's where the kraken is? It just felt very like convenient.
I
and
feel
the whole
like
book felt like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, like, I mean, that's fine because like it kind of. Sorry if I interrupted
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
No. I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So sorry if I interrupted you. But I was gonna say like that. Like I agree with you. Like on that, I feel like if she had simply added like sonar, because sonar can usually detect like size and stuff like that too. You know. I feel like if she had simply added sonar to that, she could have been like, oh, there's a really big creature down here. I wonder if that's who that is. And that one like little detail probably would have ironed out like the rest of it.
That's so smart. I wish you thought of it. No, yeah, you're right. That would have been good. So it just felt like a lot of conveniences. Larissa said, I was so excited for an end boss fight between Narampa and Serapio. Nope, that didn't happen. Nor did she fight with the Jaguar person. I was so excited for her to go find the graveyard. And she just went and found it off page. And it just found the teacher somehow. Didn't explain this teacher because I thought she was like, maybe there's nothing there. Maybe there is. And then just a teacher. I just thought the teacher was honestly a ghost or something. I was like, there's gotta be some twist. There was no twist. It's just like, and then her and Iktan's storyline. It just, I didn't like that the author added their point of view because I felt like it took away from all the mysticism of this character.
Yeah.
And it just felt really, like, I don't know. I was like, all right, so now they're in love with Narampa to the death. I didn't really get that before, but I guess that's what it is. Hi, Hanan. Sorry, I scheduled this for a bad time for her, but she sent me like a whole 14-minute voice note or something about how she hated this book. So. Yeah, Okoa that was really sad. And then like the captain that was duplicitous and killed him got everything he wanted in like a position in power. Like, I mean, I guess that's like fair because bad people do things all the time, but I was like, that's so sad. Like, and they turned him into a little bit like his turn was so quick as well. I wish he like tried to kill Seraph's book or something, and then this book was like him coming to the side and becoming a bit more fanatical. It just felt so quick. To me, he totally felt like Sir Kristen Cole from House of the Dragon, with how like someone stopped him from like going too far, and then was like, "Oh my God, you're my savior now."
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. So I should have made Star on this in book 2. Yeah. I think that's my biggest thing. It's just like there was no like planning. It's just, oh, that's cool. Let's do it. So the setup was there, but the delivery just didn't feel consistent book to book. I feel like each book was like something just came up, and you're like, all right, I guess that's a thing. Like the Balin being so obsessed with being this Jaguar prince person, and we only ever hear about it from like some very short excerpts, and now all of a sudden it's his whole personality trait. I still don't understand his turn, if I'm being honest, because they set up that he only did this because Serapi's mother wanted to do it. But now all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna conquer the entire world. It felt very like very sharp uptick in like what you're willing to do. The way the teak have been used in narrative gets me so annoyed. I have ranted about the teak. So yeah, I think it's a real shame because the book one was so strong, and I just felt like it really fell off.
I struggled to finish this book. Like, I mean, I felt like the whole thing to me was like very slow, like the whole thing. And even like when we got like to the parts like that were, you know, like supposed to like be fulfilling and stuff, they weren't.
Yeah.
I mean, and I didn't dislike it because like I really like the characters. Like I really like Zyla or Zala. I really love her character. I love Serpio. I feel like the characters like themselves basically carried the plot line without carrying the plot line.
Yeah.
So
No, you're totally right, because the strongest point is the characters. And I feel like Serapio's, like him being essentially the villain, that could have been so interesting. I feel like she should have focused a bit more on that. And his storyline, I think, was the best done and the most coherent through the whole thing, and the most like well thought out. Jala, I loved her in book one. In book two, I found her to be insufferable idiot. Like she was making weird choices to me. In this book, I also didn't like her as much. I just feel like she was again making weird choices, and she didn't feel cool and uncouth and like wild as before. When she reunited with Serapio, I started liking her again, because I feel like he sees that wild side out of her and the jokes and all that. Obviously she had to be a bit more serious in the first half, like bad things were happening. So like I still like her, but yeah, book two kind of ruined my opinion of her, because I was like, I thought you were smart. Like you were an alcoholic, but a smart one. And now I don't know.
yeah. I don't know, like I feel like I have a different opinion about the Jaguar Prince. Like I feel like his storyline was pretty interesting, because like, you know, he kind of developed like into a sorcerer like a lot of them did. But I also like the fact that we got to see kind of more of a glimpse of Serpio's mom, and how like, you know, like the whole process came to be, like, and how she ended up, you know, like like where she was, and you know, everything, and like why like this, like why this was so personal for her, you know. And I really liked that portion of it, because I feel like it almost rounded out Serpio's story like a little bit more. So while maybe he was unnecessary itself, but I feel like you wouldn't have been able to have the rest of Serpio story without him. Yeah. So that's kind of my opinion of that whole thing.
And I think that's totally fair. For me, it's like I don't dislike the fact that this storyline exists at all. It's like that I feel like it was not set up well enough from the very beginning. So I wish we got some of these excerpts from his mom, even last book, of their story, and then have some more like, okay, so she like left and betrayed him. What did he do next? And like, how did he go down this route? Why did he still support her plan, even though like she really betrayed him and took his child from him and stuff? So I'm like, I wish they set up it at least a little bit book one, because I feel like that one was like he literally just mentioned like a couple times. Then book two like dove into it a little bit more, but not enough. And then book three was like really heavy focus, and his focus on his idolization of the Jaguar Prince. I'm like, okay, can we learn more about the Jaguar Prince? Like, I'm interested, but you need to give me more, kind of thing. The cover is fire. It is, but again, it doesn't really go with the other ones. But I like it. It's pretty cool. So I'm not mad. I own it, and it's so fluffy. You gotta love it. The ending of Serapio was wild.
Yes.
Yeah. She wanted her cake and needed to. Yep.
I don't know. Like, I mean, it seems like all the characters are just gonna like return to like their former selves, except for Zala, you know, because they were kind of, you know, like, I guess, you know, like they were just kind of like waiting for Narapa like to become like more human again, like after like all of this. And Serpio, it seems like he kind of returned to being a human too, which makes me like wonder like why Zala, you know, like she's still powerful and everything else, and she's not going to return to being human. So what makes her so special, you know? So it's just kind of weird to me.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I feel like the whole struggle of the gods is like they really set up like crow god versus sun god, but there's so many other gods, like from what they said, because each like tribe basically has their own god. So it's like, okay, why are these the two most important and powerful? But no, I agree. I feel like there's not a coherent theme or thing she's trying to say through it all, because it was just like muddled by Narampa's ending. To me is wild. I feel like, what is her character arc?
Yeah.
I really don't know, because she was a terrible leader. She never got better. Then she was a good student, so she kind of came back to those roots and was kind of good at it. Then she was like, no, I'm going to fight in this fight. Didn't fight the fight and just essentially died or just went forever sleeping. Like, what?
Yeah.
What's the arc? Like, what's happening?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know. It just, like you said, I think it was just like the planning, like the fact that there wasn't any planning on that. And it made it like weird because like it felt like there wasn't like actually like it felt like there was some buildup, but like it kind of like plateaued at some point and that was it.
For sure. Like the first book to me felt like building to like a crescendo, and it happened. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then book 2 just kind of like we went back, and we still kind of built, but this it just felt so random. I was like, okay, we're getting ready for Narampa to fight Jaguar Prince, and then Serapis doing his thing, and it like felt like we were all moving together in like semi-coherent way, but then just kind of like meh. I feel like, sorry to interrupt you, this is a good point. Like, they were all good, like they could be super interesting storylines and interesting ideas, but it just didn't quite feel like fleshed out enough.
I kind of wish, like, and this is just me, but I kind of wish that we would have gotten a glimpse, like, because for people, because I'm sure like everybody that's reading like these books is not familiar like with Central America, like, you know, mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish like they would have kind of centered like maybe like, you know, some side stories like a little bit, you know, like about, or like tried to like to work in somewhere into the plot about those, you know, gods.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there use like that as kind of like a jumping off point and rounded their story out around those stories like that mirrored the stories of the gods. I think that would have been like a lot stronger because like they would have been able like to kind of like, you know, like kind of jump off from like that point, but like give a twist to the ending, you know, like instead like maybe like not have it end quite the same way, so it's like a little different, like kind of a surprise. And I feel like that might have been a little bit better as far as structure goes.
Yeah, I think that would have been really cool. Also, like I think just playing up a bit more because they mentioned several times like this fight in the heavens mirrors the fights in the on the earth, but like we don't really see the fight in the heaven. Like to us, it's still the fight on the earth because it's Narampa versus Serapio, where it feels like Narampa versus Serapio, they're also buried the hatchet last book.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you saying they're still fighting when they're not even on the same like bit of the continent, not trying to interact with each other whatsoever? Because Narampa wasn't even trying to reach Serapio. So like, okay, and yeah, so it felt very like I don't see this whole mirror thing. It was more like the Jaguar god fighting with the other gods.
Yeah.
So again, like who is the Jaguar god, and like yeah, flesh out those mythologies a bit more. I think would have been really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish that would have been really. I don't know. Like I feel like we missed. Like I feel like that like left a giant hole like in the book like in itself because we didn't get a chance like to see like what, you know, like if like the gods like, you know, like before like they tried to inhabit human form, like if they had a previous, you know, like conflict like with one of the other gods, you know, and we didn't get any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a shame because I feel like the potential, like that's why I was so annoyed because I was like, this is by no means like a 2-star book in terms of like writing or things that happen. Like they're good ideas and they're really interesting, and I've read much worse books, but just like the amount of promise that was there and how it was fumbled almost got me because I was like, this could have been my top series, but I almost feel like he needed more books and it needed to be fleshed out more, like planned in advance, at least a little bit. And then maybe if you have one more book too, I don't mind where we ended up, but I don't like how we got there because it doesn't make that much sense to me. So I'm like, maybe if we had another book to flesh that out, add some of the ideas you said, and like just plan it a bit better so it's cohesive, would have been like so good.
Yeah, it would have been.
So sad.
I know.
I'm so sorry. I took your good opinion of the book and kind of lowered it because of my run.
No, I mean, like it's not the fact that I mainly rated it what I did because of the characters. I'm not like it got like the lower rating because of the plot line. And I still love the characters. Like, I mean, Serpio. I mean, Narampa wasn't my favorite character, but like I did feel like she was kind of interesting just because like, you know, she was a son, like she was her powers were kind of interesting to me, like her powers. Like, and I just thought that was like the most interesting thing about her was her powers. Probably nothing up until then or after, but you know, like the powers themselves were good. And of course, like Zala and Serpio, like, you know, like they were amazing. Both of them. I mean, I really like both of them, but the plot line was what made me lower it.
Yeah, man, if it wasn't for Zala and Serapio, they saved it. I was like so happy when they reunited. So that bit made me happy, but then I was like, ugh, I hate Abraham. Larissa's asking what you gave it.
I was like oscillating between a 3.5 to a 4, but I'm probably gonna like lean more towards a 3.5 just because like it wasn't very cohesive, but I still really enjoyed the characters, which I feel like is still very generous as far as like rating goes. But
yeah, I think if I was like objective, I'd give it a 3, but well, I've not done compile for it yet, so maybe I'll feel differently. But
it's fiction. It's not going to be objective. Like all of it's subjective. Like when it comes to fiction.
That's very true. Also, like, who cares? It's not that deep. But
yeah.
I think I would. Would you try another book from the author?
Yeah, I would want to see like what else, you know, she had going on for her. Because I think this, I don't know, like if this is her first series, like her debut series or anything, and I always feel like that.
I think not.
No?
I think she's got something called Black Lightning or something. I'm just checking.
But I mean, I feel like if she's still like really early on into her writing career, she probably has like more room like to kind of develop, you know, like as a writer. So I'm not gonna discount her like just because like of this one series. But if I don't see like, you know, like the growth, then it's probably gonna make me not as eager to read her in the future.
I think that's fair. She has this first series with this Trail of Lightning.
Oh, I've heard about that, but I never read it. But it was pretty like, it was like back like when Book Outlet like was really big, like before like, you know, everything like went down with them. They were like, that book I believe was on Book Outlet, and I saw it on a lot of people's hauls, like when they were doing Book Outlet hauls. But not like, it's like one of those books like that kind of just faded like into the wind. Like people talked about it like a lot at the time, and you never heard about it again after that.
Yeah, I kind of check it out. I totally get what you're saying. Like, I do hope she learns from it as well instead of planning it out a little bit more. Or I feel like I really want to try this one, Thread of Angels, because it's a short story or like a novella.
Yeah.
And to me, I feel like, yeah, it's like 201 pages. To me, maybe she would like be a bit better in a novella because it's just one book. But we'll see. It doesn't have a very high rating, I will say. 3.48 doesn't feel too high, but
so like I'm kind of like learning like that there's authors like that are really good at longer stories, and there's authors like that are really good at shorter stories.
Yeah.
And I think it all comes down to the planning. What was it? Story of Our Lives. Like it's a science fiction short story collection. Like that one was incredible. I normally hate short stories. Loved it. It was beautiful. And they had a second collection, Exhalation. And that was Ted Chiang, I think is the name of the author, but that was amazing. So he's very good with that. Sun Eater series. Hate to bring it up again, but it's probably gonna be like a going theme for me because I love it so much. I'm not a huge fan of the shorter stories. There's not enough build in them, but you can tell they're very well planned out and very well fleshed out. His strength lies in his longer books, and he's very talented at that. I'm kind of ruined after that. Like nothing else is going to compare to this.
You're going to be so happy. I have some news. Hannah and I said we're going to read the Sun Eater series once we finish the Grace of Kings series. We're but we're waiting for her Broken Binding edition. So once that comes, we're going to read the rest. And Sun Eater is the next series after that. After you were like, oh, I have to read it. I was like, we have to read it. I have to know.
If I can put like a fly in the wall, like kind of like listening to you guys discuss it, like I would be happy about it. But,
we can make a group chat. It's just the two of us being like, oh my God, what the hell? And you're like, I know.
Yep. Yeah, like, and don't get me like wrong, like I enjoyed the short stories, but the longer stories are definitely it.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like different offers will have their different strengths. So I'm super curious because also when you really think about it, Black Sun, think was quite a short book considering it's like a high fantasy, an adult. I think it was amazing. Versus this one's a bit longer and it did feel a little bit slow. And then book two was even like longer than book one as well, and it also felt slow. So maybe that's not where the offer's strength is. So yeah, I'm curious to try Thread of Angels and see what it's like.
Yeah, let me know. I'm curious to see like if she like
Yeah.
does that one a little bit
And I
better.
want you to get to it. I will tell you.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. Like like I said, I mean, it's just it is disappointing, and I feel like a lot of the series like that we've read as group have been like that, like the Foundry Side trilogy,
Mm.
and then the Andrea Stewart, like the one like that we just finished like there a few months
Yeah.
ago.
Bone daughter or something.
Yeah, I feel like that one was like that too. I feel like a lot of these like trilogies like that we're getting into, like they just don't end as strong as they started.
You're 100% right. That's why I don't really read that many. Like I don't complete that many series outside of our read-alongs because
Mm-hmm.
it's much harder by yourself. And I was like, damn, like nothing can stick the landing. I want something where you're like, the last book was the best book.
I know.
I have high hopes for our next pick, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, it is John Gwen, so
Well, let's announce it then. I don't. Well, I think people like our hint was a little obvious, but we haven't
yeah.
officially said. I don't have my physical book with me. Do you have yours?
It's buried like over there in
Yeah.
the stack. It's like
Yeah.
one of the bottom books, but I have it. I got the first two.
Very nice. I have the first two as well.
Well, the third one's not out yet. I think until like September. So
Yeah, you're right. Let me pull it up. Okay, so you probably caught on, but we're gonna be reading Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I'm in Poland, so I don't have my books, but super excited. I've actually read book one already, and it was really good. So I'm very excited. It is called the Bloodsworn Saga. Yes, with the second book being this one, and the last book is coming out. I think you literally just said, but was it September?
yeah, I think it's towards the beginning of September.
Yes, and it's a massive like serpent thing, worm thing. I don't even know, but it looks so cool. I'm so excited. I read book one when it literally just came out, so it's probably like 3 years ago. Oh yes, Larissa has also read book one and liked it. I hope book two and three are good. Like we have to get out of this like terrible. Yeah, the next series will end strong. Let's believe in it.
I mean, the Faithful and the Fallen series was pretty good.
It was.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed the first book probably the most, but it was still really good. It wasn't like a drop like this one. So
I have noticed like though, like whenever we pick like a series like that's got like more like like one of the thicker boys or whatever, like we seem to have better success with that because like there's more in it like that's good for building.
True. And there's so much to talk about usually because like they're quite meaty those series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. We're actually gonna be we're taking August as a break, and then we're gonna be reading it September, and we're gonna have a live show first week of October or something, weekend of October or something like that.
Yeah.
First maybe of no, wait, that's the wrong one I'm looking at. Probably the 6th of September. I think that's what we talked about. But I know Femke is gonna be in Peru, climbing a mountain, and she's back. I'm not exactly sure when, so we need to give her a minute.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I hope you join us, Larissa. Even if you read book one, I'm gonna be rereading it because I honestly don't remember any plot details, but I remember really liking it. So, and there's a review somewhere on my channel too, so maybe I'll watch it, see what I thought.
Maybe you should wait to watch it till after.
Yeah, you're right. I don't have to color my experience. I'll read first. I like it so much that I bought it as an ebook originally, read it, really liked it, and I was like, I'm buying the physical this time. Like, I'm so excited. But book 3 is only gonna come out as a hardback, and I bought the paperback, so I'm gonna have to need to like wait a year, which is sad. Yes, Larissa is rereading. Yes, we're gonna try to be really good this time about our comms on when the shows are, so everyone remembers as well.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate you being here, Larissa. Do you have any other thoughts, either Kira, you or Larissa? Do you have any other thoughts on like this or a new pick or anything else you want to chat about?
Don't think we really have a lot more to rant about with this book.
Yeah, I'm almost like, I'm so annoyed by so many things. I'm just gonna leave it at that, you know. And you're like, the list. That's so hopeful, actually. When I was like, when it picked up around the 200-page mark, I was like, okay, and then up to like 400, and then I was like, what is happening? Like, I had high hopes. You're welcome. No, I haven't. Didn't leave as much as an impression. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, should we say goodbye or anything else we want to chat about?
Well, I don't have anything else to say about the book. I mean, I could talk about the Sun Eater series all day. So if we want to talk about that, yeah.
Well, maybe you want to reread all of them when we reread them.
Yeah.
Although they're chunky. So, what is that? What you're reading right now?
I started it. So I told you guys like that the last couple of books, like they were too like long. So because like, originally like this series I think was only supposed to be like 5 books, and they had to extend it like to 7 because like they had to break up the last 2 books because they were supposed to be so long. So I finished the the 4th book, which is The Kingdom of Death, but the 5th book is picking up exactly like where the 4th book left off. So and he doesn't typically do that. There's usually like a little bit of a time jump. Like for the first 3, like there was like a slight time jump between the books. So I know that this is the second half of whatever I was reading before.
So is it because he wrote them almost at the same time kind of thing and they just had to split it?
Yeah. So there's the Disquiet Gods came out. So I think like once I'm done with this book, I'm going to give it a break until he gets the next book, like the last book out, because if he split that one too, then I'm going to be over here like.
That's fair.
So yeah, and I don't like that. I don't like that. Maybe I'll try that James Islington book next, like The Shadow of What Was Lost, after I do this one.
Ooh, yeah, well, let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I've been dying to read that series because everybody that's read it, like everybody that I know that's read it, has absolutely adored that series, like to no end. So yeah, it's on one of my picks. But then again, like I also like want to read that Megan O'Keefe series and that Django Wexler series, but I think The Shadow of What Was Lost is gonna get put towards the top.
Yeah, there's so much to read. In the meantime, I'm rereading. Let me show you what. A classic of the genre, The Host.
Oh yeah, I always like that book.
I think this is my 4th or 5th time reading it. I love it so much. It's just like I usually get to like halfway point and just read in one sitting because it's just there's something about it. Is it perfect? No, but it's perfect to me.
I unhauled my Twilight series. My mom actually got them because she wanted those. She liked the vampires and stuff, like all the sparkliness. I kept The Host. That's what I kept.
That's nice. I have the Twilight in my like a family house, but I think my sister's like stolen a lot of first books in the series to read them or something. I'm missing like several series first book, and I don't know what that's about. But yeah, it's in Polish. But yeah, I've actually recently kind of reread Twilight. That was a wild ride. I'm on hold with the library for The Midnight Sun. I never read it, and they tried to deliver it to me twice, and I'm like, I'm not ready. Let's push this a little bit. So
yeah, I didn't read that one either. I don't know, like. So I read 50 Shades of Grey, you know, and I got really tainted like with that because like they came out like with all 3 books like from his point of view, which were like it's fine like if you're like into the what do you call it, like the like kind of like just like nasty kind of mind thought, like, you know, sexy nasty kind of mind thought, like, and that's fine. But like I read those and I'm like, it didn't have the same vibe as the original 3 because of like he was kind of a pervert. I mean, honestly, like in those books, and I'm like, no, this is not the vibe that I got from like the first one. Like we knew he was messed up, but like we really get to see it like in those like and I only read the first book, so I got tainted like with that, and like now I'm kind of like, I mean, is Edward a gentleman or is he just as freaky? You know
From
what I'm saying?
I heard, he's gross, so I'm really scared. But
Yeah.
so I might not read it ever. But I was like, oh, it's an audiobook. I could just listen to it like 2.5 or something because I'm more morbidly curious. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's one of those things. It's like, ooh, sexy bad boy, but then you get in their head and you're like, no.
Yeah. You
So,
never you never get the ick so quick as when you're inside their head trying to figure out like, oh God, is this the same person?
I know. Oh my god, you're so right. Like, yeah, the ick is real. I'm reading this book. I got it from the library as well. It's called "You Shouldn't Have Come Here," and it's like a thriller, but it's almost set up like a Hallmark romance novel. It's like this big city girl goes to this Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, meet this like country boy, and like it's so funny because it's all the things that are happening could be happening in a romance novel, but I know this is a thriller, so everything just has this sinister like tinge to it, and everything he says and things in his head just feels so creepy. And I'm like, it's so funny. It's like when they do those like YouTube or TikToks or whatever, it's like, oh, the same scene with different music and how much that changes how you like perceive the scene. That's this book. I was like, this could be a romance novel, but also it's extremely creepy. So now I'm like, maybe romance novels are just kind of creepy.
Wait, what is it called again? It sounds familiar.
You Shouldn't Have Come Here, I think. I'm gonna show you the cover. It's like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was just like randomly on my top books in the library. I was like, why not? It's pretty good. Like I don't mind listening to it while I'm doing something. I have an hour left. I am kind of curious what's gonna happen. So,
yeah. I don't know. Is anybody still out there?
I have two people. I don't know if it's Larissa or someone else. What are you reading? Whoever's here.
Yes. What's everybody reading? Yeah, I might. I don't know. I've been thinking about picking up the Sun Eater, but I've also been thinking about picking up like something shorter because I'm just kind of in the mood for it.
Yeah, it's nice to break it up a little.
I still have a Junji Ito manga that I was thinking about picking up. Nice. I've been like watching horror films like last night and this morning. Nice. Some really messed up ones.
What was the pick?
One of them, it's called Terrorizer. I think that's what it's called. Hold on, let me make sure. I think it's called Terrorizer, and it's like this,
heard about it.
Yeah, it's like this campy, like kind of like slasher film that's really messed up. Yeah, it's called. I'm sorry, it's called The Terrifier. Terrifier. Oh. And hold on. Terrifier, like it's got like this like really kind of like messed up clown. You've probably seen the clown before. I don't know if
you've seen promo for the film. Yes, I've seen the promo for it. Yeah.
Yeah. You basically have to like want to watch a slasher film for the sake of watching people die. Like I kept thinking, I was like, what kind of fake blood budget did these people have? Because I feel like all their budget like went to prosthetics and fake blood, and that was it.
God, sounds bloody.
Yeah, and like it wasn't like the worst film I've ever watched, and I'm actually kind of curious about the second film, but I don't think I'd ever rewatch the Terror. Like I don't think I'd ever rewatch it. Like it was kind of really messed up. So
yeah. I like slasher/horror in book format, but not for me to watch them. They're too scary.
Yeah. I think I'm really desensitized because like I wasn't scared at all. Like it was I actually laughed at one scene in that movie Terrifier. Like I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. Like he got stabbed in the foot and he flicked her off as she ran away. And for some reason, like I'm just like, you just tried to kill her and you're mad?
I know. The audacity of men.
And I'm thinking, I'm just like, that was kind of funny though, because like you're mad that she just stabbed you after you just tried to asphyxiate her with a bat.
Oh my gosh, that is funny.
Yeah. So yeah,
It's like,
I don't
how
know.
dare you?
Yeah. So like it's kind of like it's like campy, like in the worst, like darkest like way possible, but like at the same time I'm kind of like, okay, this is so bloody and you really just have to be okay with that if you're going to like, you know, have any expectation of enjoying your time watching it at all.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, but it's quite new, right?
2016, but they're coming out with the third one soon, and apparently this time he's going to wear a Santa hat. So stay tuned.
Is it coming out during Christmas?
That's a good question. I can look it up. It was, I don't know, like I actually am probably going to end up watching the sequel because I'm apparently a glutton for punishment, but yeah.
Fair. I feel like I've seen it a lot recently, so maybe I just saw the sequel stuff.
Oh, it's coming out October 11th of 2024, just in time.
Oh, interesting.
Because normally,
they made a Christmas film.
Yeah.
Lol.
That's the movie poster. Terrifier 3.
Retro.
I
like that this movie knows what it is and it's committing.
It is. It does. It commits. It knows exactly what it's doing.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fair.
Mm-hmm. And I wasn't scared at all, like during like these. I'm just kind of like, wow, it's just like, you know, it's just like, I'm just like, I kind of like go into these movies expecting like everybody to die, you know? So I'm just kind of like, it's the jumps. I realize like though, it's the jump scares and the paranormal stuff that really gets me. That's the stuff that gets me. Like this, like generalized slasher films, forget it. Like I'm okay. Like no worries. Vampire films, perfectly fine. I just finished watching Abigail this morning. Perfectly fine. Not scared at all. It was good to go. But get me like I tried like watching Sinister and that was too much. It was way too much.
I'm the same. Yeah, I don't mind slashers so much, but anything with ghosts or creepy children, I don't like.
Mm-hmm. Well, Abigail had the creepy child, but
sure, but she's not that creepy looking, you know. Or maybe she becomes. I have not seen the movie.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yep, I think we're good to go. I don't think anything else.
Yes, because we can always chat in the background.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kira, for your time and your opinions. And let's see everyone in September/August. September for reading experience, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do the awkward hug. I'm clicking.
Bye-bye.